Good afternoon. Welcome to Jim Munley's World of Weather. You clicked on to long-range weather forecast discussion for October 2nd to the 16th. We're going to look at the tropics at this time. Praying for everybody down in Florida. Catastrophic Category 4 hurricane has stranded people, and I think there was one death so far that I saw in the headlines. But prayers, and I hope everybody is safe and gets what they need to get. Okay, my prayers are with you. Okay, conditions along the Florida coast will improve this evening as less convective bands of tropical storm push eastward into the Atlantic. And now the system's over the open waters, and I is forecast to re-intensify into Category 1 hurricane before making landfall again tomorrow afternoon in the South Carolina hurricane, where hurricane force wind and torrential rains will impact much of northern Georgia and the southern South Carolina coast. And we'll take a look at that at the surface. We see we're at Friday 8 a.m. Hasn't quite made landfall yet. And then it starts moving in. You can see this is the GFS, and it continues northward and spreads rain to the north. That's the GFS. We'll look at the European. Similar, it's a little bit further west. And then we'll look at the, we don't have the European ensembles. Here's the Canadian, pushes into South Carolina and moves it more to the west. Now, then things get a little more trickier as you get further north. And then we'll look at the UK Met. They'll bring it into the South Carolina coast. The UK Met is a little further north, South Carolina, North Carolina border. And then they become the same again, bringing rainfall to the north. Now, Ian will interact with a frontal boundary near the system, will help focus widespread heavy rainfall as the warm front moves onshore to the northeast of Ian. Current forecast for 3 to 5 inches. We'll take a look at that. Okay, here's the rainfall amounts for day 1. And we see we're in the bright, the orange, and then this other color here. I don't know what color that is. That looks like it's approaching 5 to 7 inches. That would be possible. And I think the highest amounts will be where Ian moves inland. And as a result, there is a moderate risk of excessive rain for much of South Carolina, North Carolina, and southwestern Georgia on Friday. After landfall, Ian is expected to lose tropical characteristics and become extratropical low while moving inland towards the southern Appalachians by Saturday morning. This will spread rainfall northward into the region. Now, there's also possibility of redevelopment off the coast, and we'll take a look at that closer. And we'll look at the GFS, and then see keeps rain. It spreads rain, moderate rain, I would say, into New Jersey parts there. And you can see we have redevelopment off the Mid-Atlantic coast, and then it moves out. That's the GFS. The European moves out too. Further to south up the Carolina coast. The UK Met has the least amount of rain further north, but areas across parts of the southeast lower Mid-Atlantic will receive the heaviest rainfall. We'll take a look at the water vapor imagery. There's a lot of deep moisture associated with this system still. Here's Ian, and then we'll go back and we'll take a look at it at the visible satellite imagery. You might be able to see, I think right here you can see some thunderstorm activity here. Okay. All right, now we're going to get to the regular forecast. This is for the period October 2nd to 6th. And the flow would feature trough or an upper low over the east, and a slow moving upper low. You can see it here. Over the over the Rockies that tracks into the plains. A ridge is forecast over the Midwest and the Southern Plains. A ridge builds later in Canada, supporting a trough in the east later in the forecast period. So here we go, 2nd to the 6th. Then we go late in the period. Here's our trough redevelopment here as this ridge builds. And we'll try to take a look at the upper low and surface reflection right here, moving across the northern plains. So this will produce, like I mentioned before, iron possibly redevelop and bring in rain, locally heavy rainfall for parts of the mid-Atlantic through the weekend and possibly into early next week. Strong winds will be produced by the remnants of the remnants and the high to the north will possibly will be the strongest across coastal sections. The upper low moving through the Rockies to the southern to the south will produce areas of precipitation from the Rockies to the plains, and then still upper low moisture will support locally heavy moderate rain Sunday into Monday across the Rockies, and some areas may get snow in the highest elevations. Take a look at the period for October 7th to the 11th. No, this would be, 7th to the 11th. I'm sorry, 7th to the 11th. The pattern depicted above, the ridge trough configuration, will remain in place, with some of the miles gradually flattening the flow. You can see the GFS is really deep with the trough. And then you can see here, this is the Canadian ensembles. And to see the European also flattens the flow. So for this forecast period, I'm calling for above normal temperatures here. I'm calling for anomalies near 8 degrees above normal. Below normal temperatures forecast here with anomalies near 2 degrees below normal for precipitation. Calling for below normal precipitation here. And for this region, probability of occurrence is 35%. Now we're going to look at the period for October 12th to 16th. And the GFS keeps the trough ridge configuration. But if you look at the European ensembles, and to some extent here the NAEFS and the GFS, they all flatten the flow, but the GFS and to some extent the NAEFS still keeps a trough in the east. So I'm going to compromise here. So for this forecast period, I'm calling for what happened. Can't get, hold on. Calling for above normal temperatures from Mississippi Valley to the Pacific Coast with anomalies of 2 to 6 degrees above normal, near normal elsewhere due to a possible trough here in the east. And for precipitation, calling for below normal precipitation here and here. Probability of occurrence is 35 to 40%. Above normal precipitation forecast here. Probability of occurrence is 35%. So that's the long range weather forecast discussion for October 2nd to 16th. Thanks for coming to Jim Munley's World of Weather, and have a good day.